Hello students, so today we are going to discuss about adaptation in organism. So before we proceeding this, humans have legs, birds have wings and whale have flip. Why they need this? Because these all are the structures which is responsible for the movements. So the animals and plants which is adapted to this particular environment. So how they adapted and how they responsible for this environment to survive, we are going to discuss in detail. And adaptation is any heritable trait that helps an organism such as a plant or animal survive and reproduce in its environment. Inherited characteristic features. So we are going to discuss about some of the animals have the inherited characteristic features. Why do tigers have stripe? Why are bullfrog green on the back and white on the belly? Why do giraffes have such a long neck? Why do geese fly south for the winter? Why do water lilies float? Why do some plants bear fruit? All of these questions deal with adaptation. A change in structure, function or behavior by which a species or individual improves its chance of survival in a specific environment. In evolutionary theory, adaptation is a biological mechanism by which organisms adjust to new environment or to changes in the current environment. Organisms can adapt to the environment in different ways. They can adapt biologically, meaning they alter body function. Why are adaptation important to organisms? Yes, every organism has a unique ecosystem within which it lives. All organisms need to adapt to their habitat to be able to survive. This means adapting to be able to survive the climatic condition of the ecosystem, predator and other species that compete for the same food and space. In biology, adaptation has three related meanings. First, it is a dynamic evolutionary process that fit organism to the environment, enhancing the evolutionary fitness. Secondly, it is a state reached by the population during that process. Thirdly, it is a phenotypic trait or adaptive trait with a functional role in each individual organisms that is maintained and has evolved through natural selection. History. Adaptation is an observable fact of life accepted by philosophers and natural historians from ancient times, independently of their views on evolution, but their explanation is differed. Empedocles did not believe that adaptation required a final cause, but thought that it came about naturally, since such things survived. Aristotle believed in final causes but assumed that species were fixed. Types of adaptation. So they are categorized into three types. One is structural, another one is behavioral, and third one is physical. First we are going to discuss about structural adaptation. Actual body parts or coloration that helps an organism survive in the environment. The best example will be the camouflage, mimicry, bent hind leg, sharp teeth and claws, body structures. So these are the structural adaptation. Behavioral adaptation. Ways an organism act to help them survive in the environment. Example, migration, hibernation, warning call, mating dances, hunting in packs. Physical adaptations are body structure that helps an organism find and consume food and water, protect itself, cope with tough environments and reproduce. Next we are going to study about the animal adaptation. So we are going to discuss about fauna. The most significant animal adaptation entirely depend on the type of habitat that they are found in. The earth has several natural environments that are spread across large geographic areas. In the broader sense, this area where life exists is called biosphere. Now we are going to discuss about animal adaptation in deserts, in grassland, in polar region. Just have a look of each. Animal adaptation in desert. The desert has extreme temperature fluctuation, soaring heat during the day and sub-zero temperature at night. It also has very limited water bodies and rain is rather scarce. But there are many animals that are well adapted to life in the desert. For example, camels, jackrabbit, foxes, snakes, insects are some of the predominant xerocles. Here the zero is nothing but desert animal. Zero, it means dry, where the animals which survive in dry area. However, these animals in the desert have to face many major challenges from water conservation to avoiding excess heat. Various desert animal adaptation we are going to discuss. So one of the thing is conservation of water through reduced sweating. How it is possible? Yes, camels are able to withstand ambient temperature of 44 degrees Celsius without sweating. Cold-blooded animals entirely lack sweat gland as they rely on the external environment to regulate body temperature. And next adaptation feature is adaptation to nocturnal life. What is this nocturnal life? It active at night time. The average daytime temperature in the desert often exceeds more than 38 degrees Celsius at night. Nocturnal lifestyle helps to cut down the loss of water, especially in desert biomes. It also enhances osmoregulation. Next we are going to discuss about specialized mode of excretion. So this will be one of the adaptable features there in desert region. Birds and reptiles in the desert retain water as the metabolic waste or excreted in the form of insoluble white compound called uric acid. When compared to mammals, the metabolic waste are excreted through urea, a considerably more soluble compound. Next, specialized appendages. Animals like the jackrabbit have very large ears that have a network of blood vessels. When these animals rest in the shade, the enormous ears dissipate the excess heat from their bodies. So these are the adaptation in desert. Next we are going to discuss about animal adaptation in grassland. Grassland are areas where the dominant vegetation is grasses. Grasslands are found throughout the world except for Antarctica because Antarctica is surrounded with ice. The largest grasslands are found in East Africa. One of the characteristic features of grassland is wide open space. This means the average speed of animal is much higher for predators and prey. Therefore, it is no surprise that two of the latest fastest land animals in the world are found in grassland. For example, cheetah. It runs for the speed 113 km. So what will be the features of this grassland animals, how they are adapted? They have a specialized digestive system. Yes, animals that live in the grassland like the bison have a specialized teeth and digestive system that help in breaking down the tough grass. Camouflage. What is this camouflage? Yes, the predator that ambush the prey have skin colors that closely resemble their environment. This enables them to blend in and sneak up to their prey. So based on the environment, based on the predator, the particular organisms changes color. Next is about the feeding habits. Grassland near the equator have relatively high ambient temperature. Hence, some herbivores such as antelope graze at night, as this is when the vegetation has the most water content. The same can be said for some nocturnal predators too, as they can prevent unnecessary water loss. Animal adaptation in polar region. The polar region represents the extreme weather condition and inhospitable environment. Polar region include the North and South Pole countries such as Sweden, Iceland, Norway. These regions are usually covered in snow almost the entire year. So you just think, what about the temperature? There will be the temperature low as minus 37 degrees Celsius. Furthermore, the sun does not set for over 6 months, and for the next 6 months it does not rise up at the poles. So what will be the prominent polar region animal adaptation? So the main one will be the dense fur. This is an important adaptation as it protects the organism from the extreme cold. Animals such as polar bear have fur even covering the soles of the feet. This prevents them from slipping on the ice. Blubber. Blubber is one of the interesting facts in this biological world. Yes, blubber is nothing but a thick fat which is present in the body of the organism. For example, in some sea mammals such as whale and seals, a thick layer of fat covers the entire body, except for the fins and flippers. This layer provides insulation from the bitter cold and also aid in buoyancy, What is buoyancy? Where it helps to float in the water. They can also fall back on as fat as a food resource when there is no food available in the environment or during the period of inactivity. What is this inactivity? Yes, so it might be the animal undergoes the hibernation period. Moreover, research has found that blubber is much more effective at retaining heat than fur. Next, we are going to discuss about adaptation of plants. Earth is known to have around 3 lakh species of plant. Like animals, plant life is also dependent on various fundamental necessities for the survival. Light, water, air, soil, nutrient and suitable climatic condition are necessary for growth. But every habitat does not provide the required necessities. Therefore, plants have evolved certain physiological, behavioral and structural modification to thrive in such environment. Adaptation of plants in desert. Same what we discussed in animal, we are also going to discuss in plant. Deserts are too dry and hard to imagine life in them. Despite these arid conditions, few plants have adapted to thrive here. So what will be the adaptive features? Succulents are such plants which can store water in the modified stem and leaf. The spines on cacti also helps prevent excess water loss. The spine is nothing but the modification of leaf. Some plants have long, deep roots which can absorb water from the ground. Other plants grow short to save energy. Another form of adaptation is dormancy. Few seeds remain dormant until they get the water needed for growth. Adaptation of plants in tropical rainforest. Tropical forests are usually packed with big and tall trees. These tall trees often provide stiff competition for small shrub and herb. Tall tree blocks the sunlight from reaching the ground. They are also known to absorb the nutrient from the soil. Next, adaptation in aquatic plants. The plants which survive in water. The plants which live in water ecosystem like lakes, river, pond, bogs, etc. It faces many problems. The most common are low oxygen content, low light intensity, lack of soil and nutrient. So some of these issues are resolved by floating in water stream. Aquatic plant develops in a way such the roots are in the water, but the upper half partially emerges from the surface of the water for efficient photosynthesis. Food, nutrient and air are absorbed through modified stem and root. Adaptation of plants. Any feature of an organism or its part that enables it to exit under condition of its habitat is called adaptation. On the basis of water availability, plants have been classified as hydrophyte, xerophyte, mesophyte. So please make note of these. First we are going to discuss about hydrophyte. Hydro refers to water, phyte refers to plant. Hydrophyte. The plant growing in or near water are called hydrophytes. Hydrophytes may be free floating or submerged plants living in lake, pond, shallow water, marshy land and marine habitat. Hydrophytes face certain challenges in their habitat. They are availability of more water than needed, water current may damage the plant body, water levels may change regularly, maintain buoyancy in water. Adaptation of hydrophytes. Roots are poorly developed as in hydrilla or absent as in ulfia. Plant body is greatly reduced as in lemna. Submerged leaves are narrow or finely divided, that is example is hydrilla. Floating leaves have long leaf stalk to enable the leaf moves up and down in response to change in water level. Example lotus. Air chambers provide buoyancy and mechanical support to plant as an acornia, swollen and spongy petiole. In this picture you can study about the hydrophytes. So here are some example hydrilla, ulfia, lemna, acornia, lily, lotus. So in this picture you can study about the water hyacinth. Next we are going to discuss about xerophyte. Xero, the term refers to dry. Phyte again here plant. The plant which survive in dry condition. The plant that grow in dry habitat are called xerophyte. These plants develop special structural and physiological characteristics to meet the following condition. To absorb as much water as they can get from the surrounding, to retain water in the organ for very long time, to reduce the transpiration rate, to reduce consumption of water. Adaptation of xerophytes. They are well-developed roots. Roots grow very deep and reach the layer where water is available as in calotrophes. They store water in succulent water, storing parenchymatous tissue. Example, Opuntia, aloe vera. They have small-sized leaf with waxy coating. Example, Acacia. In some plants, leaves are modified into spines. Example, Opuntia. So these are the xerophyte example, Acacia, Calotrophes, Opuntia. So please have a look. And this diagram indicates Opuntia. So please have a look of the spine, leaf spine. The leaves are modified into spines. Mesophyte. Meso, here it refers to middle. What is this middle? This will be like between the aquatic or dry. Either the plant can survive wet nor too dry. Mesophytes are common land plants which grow in situations that are neither too wet nor too dry. They do not need any extreme adaptation. Adaptation of mesophytes. The root of mesophytes are well developed and are provided with root caps. The stem is generally straight and branched. The leaves are generally broad and thin. The presence of waxy cuticle in leaf trap the moisture and lessen water loss. Leaves have stomata which close in extreme heat and wind to prevent transpiration. Students, so here I conclude. So we studied about the xerophytic condition and hydrophytic condition in this topic, adaptation in organisms. How the plants and animals, that is the flora and fauna, adapted its life in hydrophytic and xerophytic. So hydro refers to the aquatic form and xerophytic it refers to the dry condition. So how these plants and animals are adapted to this environment we studied in detail.